that you haven't seen before, we now have a window. And that's the liquor store. Might pay it a visit soon. Hey, what is up, you beautiful people of the internet? And today we have another reaction video, but this time it's just gonna be random videos because I haven't had anything planned for months now. I was gonna react to Volume 333 by Alex Kister from the Mandela Catalog, but that video got deleted. It just evaporated from my phone, so I didn't want to film it again because then it wouldn't be my honest, genuine reaction. But let's just say that I was sitting with my shark stuffy in front of my face, just covering my face the entire time. And just Alex keeps doing the good work. He keeps making awesome videos, and I'm really excited to see what he does next because he has something planned for us in the future. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But if you want to know a little bit more about the Mandela Catalog, follow Alex Kister on Instagram, and also subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch the Mandela Catalog. Do it. I'm watching you. Top 13 disturbing movies I couldn't forget even if I tried. Oh, Spookyrice! We love him. Watch him. Watch Spookyrice. I'm gonna put the link to his channel in the description. He makes amazing videos, and he actually has saved me a lot of time from and the trauma of having to watch a lot of the movies that I have. But I do eventually end up watching them anyways. And I've finished most of the layers of the disturbing movie iceberg. But we love Spookyrice. Alright, we are starting now.
Welcome to the first top 13 list I've ever made about 13 movies that were really disturbing for me to watch. This list is not from easiest to hardest to watch. It's a very random list because I am not good at ranking things. I've been busy with school and I'm finally on a break, so I'll be getting this week started with a list to remember the movies from over the years. Ready to get started? Yes. These are 13 movies that really ticked my disturbing bones. Stay tuned and cue the Gohan. 13. Salo. Salo is a film adaptation of the unfinished novel called The 120 Days of Sodom, written by Marquis de Sade. Sade was the definition of being against any kind of religion or law, and his work often integrated violence and suffering in the bedroom. Salo, or The 120 Days of Sodom, updates the novel into a World War II setting, where 4 Italian hedonistic leaders, also known as libertines, take 18 teenagers and torture them with sadistic sexual and psychological torture. There's a girl who tries to escape, only to get her throat slashed. I probably would have did that too if I knew what would happen to me in the rest of this movie. The 4 libertines made many of the teenagers do the grossest of stuff, like random sodomy, forcing one girl to eat nails stuck in food, and forcing a girl to eat feces for wishing to die. And all the teens die horribly anyway. If you did list top 3 disturbing movies of all time, Salo's up there. It definitely has a place directly in my brain, trying to gnaw at my brain matter. It was directed by Pier Paolo Pasolini, who ended up being assassinated shortly after this film was created. He was beaten, ran over multiple times, and burned partially. You can check out my video on Salo to learn all about it. Just ignore the mistakes I made, like when I confused about how there was 2 characters named Signora. Signora is like Miss in Italian. I didn't know that at the time, and then later I found out I'm 20% Italian. The irony. Number 12, Angel's Melancholia. Angel's Melancholia is directed by Marian Dora, and it kind of reminded me of Salo slightly. Same idea with the libertines finding them some teenagers to torture with their weird fetishes. Now, I didn't like an Angel's Melancholia that much. It's pretty long, but it got really gnarly at times. I called the 2 main characters Beard Man and Dark Man in my video, but their names are actually Broth and Katza. They influenced these 2 girls to hang out with them, and recruits some nasty woman from a bar to go to a home and get down and dirty in front of the two girls. Down and dirty means violent woo-hoo scenes, killing of animals, drugs, scat, golden showers, and genital mutilation. Expect all of that in this movie. My hardest scene was watching a disabled girl get tortured by broth, and I mean ripping her colostomy bag off and harming her in that general area. Her screams will stick with me. Now, I bashed this movie in my original video, but after some time to take it in, I'd say it would be better if it was just shorter. There just was a lot of random scenes that the movie could have gone without. If you don't like seeing animal cruelty or vomit or scat or genital mutilation, get away from this movie. Number 11, Guinea Pig 2. Guinea Pig is one of the best disturbing Japanese film series. Started out with some random women being tortured by a group of wannabe criminals. The second movie, directed by Hideshi Kino, involves a samurai character kidnapping a lady and torturing her in one of the most torturous scenes ever. Now, he gives her a drug that helps her not feel pain, or at least allows the actress to not scream her lungs out. The sound effects are disgusting, and the bone-crushing sawing is right in your face. Then, the movie ends with a new victim about to share the same fate. Had the same energy as when Michael Jackson gave us that evil look at the end of Thriller. This movie is influential, and even has Charlie Sheen tricked into thinking it was a real snuff film. Yep. Idiot. Another interesting thing is that there was a campaign to rid these movies from Japan after one of the Guinea Pig films was found in the possession of the otaku murderer, Tsutomu Miyazaki. Don't even feel like thinking about that guy. That campaign fell through when it was discovered that he had Guinea Pig 4 Devil Woman Doctor, which is as goofy as an episode of SpongeBob. Number 10, No Child of Mine. No Child of Mine is a 1997 British drama directed by Peter Kaminsky. It's about a 13-year-old girl named Carrie who was abused by both her father and her mother. Her father makes her do business with truck drivers and friends. I shouldn't have to explain what do business means. Her mother would beat her and make her do sexual acts to her every night. Even when her mother gets a new boyfriend, her boyfriend abuses her in a very graphic sense. Her teachers can tell her home life is awful, and eventually she's put in a care home, only for the care home officials to assault her too. There's a scene in the movie where she calls a hotline for children in abusive homes. It is one of the most saddest scenes I've ever watched. Had me crying at 7 o'clock in the morning. Finally, by the end of the movie, she reaches a rural care home where she receives the care and attention she always needed. Some of you watching probably resonated with how I described this movie. It was definitely one of my hardest watches, and it wasn't even too explicit. Carrie was based on a real girl, apparently, who soon graduated school and got a career, I believe. Hopefully, she's doing good. At least there's a happy ending. You can check out my video, but make sure you have some tissues ready, or you might want to skip it entirely, just because of how stark it can be. That was the hardest one to watch for me. Number 9, cutting moments. Continuing the trend of bad parents and abusing children, we got Cutting Moments, a 25-minute short film directed by Douglas Buck. The funny thing is that the poster for Cutting Moments is entirely unrelated to the actual film itself. Like, what the fuck is this?
I saw the
electricity randomly and some carrot top with a chainsaw? This is like calling this movie Spider-Man. No, the movie is about a wife who aches to feel like her younger self again. Her husband ignores her and abuses the son at night. Well, after he ignores her attempts to look beautiful, she cuts her lips off, graphically. I'm not gonna show it here, but you can always check out my video on it. She walks out afterwards looking like a zombie, and it moves him so much that they have self-destructive sex that ends in their death. It is easily one of the most disturbing pieces of media that I've ever seen. Now, would you believe that this was the third disturbing movie I've ever watched after I Spit on Your Grave and Gummo? This movie is gnarly, bloody, bleak, and cursed. And I like the ending with the photos of the police discovering what happened. It kind of reminds you that this movie still takes place in an actual normal world. Number 8, Antichrist. Oh, we're continuing another trend. Bad parents and self-destructive sex. After the death of their child, a couple go to a familiar forest area to face their fears. Green Goblin is trying to help his wife come to terms with the death, but her best way of coming to terms with anything is violent sex. Soon, both go crazy seeing random things in the forest, and this all happens as the Emerald Elf discovers that his wife believes herself to be evil. You can watch my official video to get the full rundown, but just know that at one point, she smashes his male jewels with a wooden log and receives a bloody prize when she plays with the hot dog, and she uses scissors to cut off her lady pleasure center. That was actually tough for me, and I don't even have a lady pleasure center. This movie is directed by Lars von Trier, and it is one of his finest.
Yeah,
check out my video to get the full rundown on what happens.
Is a great director.
Number 7, I Spit on Your Grave. Oh boy, here's the classic. To me, I Spit on Your Grave is my classic golden medal movie. All because of her, Jennifer Jenny Hills. Directed by Meyer Zarchi. I Spit on Your Grave is about a writer who goes on to Connecticut to gain inspiration. Unfortunately, 4 trash cans think it would be fun to assault and kill her. And this movie has probably one of the hardest assault scenes ever. It's sad to watch a 30-minute assault scene, but it feels kinda good to see them all get tore apart one by one. Apparently, Myers Archie got the idea from helping an assaulted woman back in New York. The way the police handled the situation naturally evolved into a script where a woman takes the law into their own hands, like cutting off a guy's dingling in a bathtub. See that knife she has? That's the knife that Gohan has in his mouth on my channel logo art. That's how much I fan this movie. Even my grandma knows about I Spit on Your Grave. She was like, oh, you don't mess with Jennifer Hills. You don't mess with Jennifer. Truthfully, Jennifer Hills reminds me of my grandma. I Spit on Your Grave was my first video, and it got over 1 million views now. We did this shit. We did this shit.
We did it.
Number 6.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy, here we go with the sad movies. Directed by Haruo Nakamura. This movie is an attempt to depict what happened to Junko Furuta. A bunch of young Yakuza hopefuls often kidnapped schoolgirls and assaulted them. The hardest thing to take in this movie is the fact that Junko was picked up at random just because she just so happened to be riding by, only to be abused and beaten for weeks. This movie also points out that the only reason they ever found Junko's body was by pure accident when the mastermind, Tatsuo, thinks that they found out, only to realize he spoke too much. This movie made me emotional. It's one of the few cases that has emotionally bothered me heavily. You can watch to see the full video. I think it almost has 1 million views itself. At the end of the video, I even had a moment of silence for Junko. And you didn't hear it, but my ass was crying. She won't be forgotten. So now let's take a break from the list and get into the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is I Saw the Devil, directed by Kim Ji-woon. I Saw the Devil is a game between NIS agent Soo-yoon and serial killer Kung Chol. After the latter killed Soo-yoon's fiancée, he scatters her body parts to be found. Kung Chol messed with the wrong person, and Soo-yoon beats his ass all over Korea, but plenty of innocents get in the way. In this movie, there's some very harsh scenes, like when Kung Chol kidnaps a schoolgirl. He does get his brains beat out afterwards, but still. And just the general pain and horror of it all, I definitely checked this out. The next honorable mention is Bedeviled, aka Boknam Rises, directed by Jong Chol-soo. Boknam Rises is all about some cowardly, plain bank assistant named Haewon. Even saying her name makes me hurl. Haewon has been ignoring the signs of help from her friend Boknam, who is stuck on an island with the rest of the socially regressive idiots. She's assaulted, beaten, and bullied by everyone, and leads one of the saddest lives I've seen. It's not too long before she breaks, and Jennifer Hills implants her deadly energy into Boknam, causing her to go on an assault that leaves everyone dead. This movie has assault scenes, killing scenes, and some sad scenes that even made you cry. It's probably my favorite video, by the way. And Boknam, that's my wife. Alright, let's continue on with the official list. Number 5, a Serbian film. Now, Serbian Film is the top of the crop. Everyone knows about this movie and is probably at the top of the most disturbing films list. Directed by bro. It's about a former adult star who starts doing the adult videos again to get more money for his family, especially when a weird director is paying heavy for him to pop up in his movie. You can expect a lot of disgusting, violent, sexual horror in this movie, like penetrating corpses and the newborn corn scene, which is one of the most harshest scenes ever. And the ending will leave you absolutely drained. Only watch a Serbian film if you're mentally ready for it.
Yes.
Number 4, Tumbling Doll of Flesh. Tumbling Doll of Flesh is directed by Tamakichi Anaru, and it is probably one of the most disturbing things to ever come out of Japan. It's like a more realistic version of Guinea Pig 2. A girl named Kana signs up to do adult videos, but the directors are terrible at making her feel comfortable. They end up tying her up and just doing the most disturbing and grossest things possible to her. It wasn't a tough watch for me, but it is overall a tough watch. I do got an uncensored version of this video too, so beware to check that out. But golly, this movie really knows how to make everyone hurl. Number 3, Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust, directed by Ruggero Deodato, is one of the most disturbing movies ever. Why? Because of the animal cruelty shown on screen and the graphic cannibalism that the tribes of the Green Inferno do towards the idiot Americans invading their lands. The Americans got what was coming to them, but still, killing animals on camera probably was too much. Now, YouTube be tripping about Cannibal Holocaust. They took down my censored video of it and gave me a strike. Yet we'll let you buy the movie and watch it just fine. But you know, I'll be returning to this movie one day, and it is one of the hardest. Now, before we list our final 2 unranked films, let's get the last 2 honorable mentions out of the way. Our penultimate honorable mention is Rare, a Dead Person. This is not a movie. It is a death documentary slideshow released by the same companies that helped Tamakichi Anaru release Tumbling Doll of Flesh. The reason why it's in this video is because a trailer of this documentary popped up at the end of one of Tamakichi Inaru's films. Seeing people with their brains exposed literally shut my brain down. Seeing random gore in the middle of the night was not good for me when I first saw it. Eventually, I ordered a tape planning on conquering Rare, and so far, I've seen each Rare documentary. Rare Dead Person is very extreme, because at the end, there's a little girl that was murdered. Her decomposing, bloated body was on the cover of the tape, and it is shown throughout the end. Not only does it make you feel terrible, but it's not a sight that you want to keep in your head. A really tough watch Rare was. Our last honorable mention, fuck, I can't believe I'm thinking about this movie. Even to this day, this fucking movie gives me nightmares, dude. Oh my god, shit. Our last honorable mention is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is probably the most disturbing movie of all time. Teenage boy bitten by some spider causes the brutal death of his fucking family, and he shoots white stuff out of his body at criminals. People are literally turned into skeletons. This girl doesn't even know who the hell she want to be or who she wants to love. It's just, oh my god, it's just the most disturbing movie of all time. I of course managed to trick YouTube into letting me keep this video on YouTube. I'm surprised they didn't strike me because of how fucking hard this movie was. But Spider-Man 2 is even more disturbing. I don't like to think about this movie too much because of how gnarly it is. Okay, back to the official list. Number 2, Splatter, Naked Blood. Y'all probably don't even remember this movie. Splatter, directed by Heisayasu Sato, is one of my favorite Japanese movies. It's all about a scientist who tries his serum on a bunch of unaware girls. It causes them to enjoy pain and only want to destroy themselves for ultimate achievement. Just the clips of Hungry Butt makes this movie. Seeing her fry her hand and chew on it like KFC will stick with you. On a realistic note though, it was this movie that inspired the idea of me making a channel about movies like this. And I wouldn't have saw clips of this movie if it wasn't for horrible reviews making a listing of disturbing films. So, thanks horrible reviews. You high-key created this channel. Number 1, Irreversible. Irreversible, directed by Gaspar Noé, is probably one of my hardest watches, and that is simply because of the corridor scene. This movie itself is filmed differently than most, or at least edited differently. The movie is shown in reverse. A woman named Alex is brutally assaulted while walking home from a party. It goes on for, I believe, over 9 minutes. And I don't like to think about it, I couldn't even look at this scene directly. It plants you right in that corridor with them, and you can't do anything to help. Powerlessness is agony, and if it hurts just to watch, imagine the agony she was going through, and imagine the agony that plenty of women, even probably right now, are going through. Don't watch Irreversible unless you are entirely sure you want to watch it. And that's about it for the first top 13 list. What's the next list? Comment down below, let me know. Top 13 Japanese movies? Top 13 waifus? Let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching this long video, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, time to make the list.